Welcome one, welcome all to the Tales of Tyria. Welcome one, welcome all to the Tales of Tyria.
Yes, welcome everybody, welcome. We have a ton of stuff to talk about. Exploits, bans, and hacking. Oh my! This is going to be a great show, lots of controversy, lots of discussion. It's hot, stay tuned. Yes, welcome one, welcome all, welcome to the exciting episode of Tales of Tyria right here. We are glad you got a hold of the program, however you may have found it. Tell a friend or two, won't you? As you can see, we are broadcasting almost live here from the Cloud Skimmer Tavern in the great free city of Lion's Arch. I am Bridger. I'll be your host for this evening for this Guild Wars 2 news and discussion podcast. Also joining me, we have Freelancer. Welcome, sir.
How's it going, Bridger?
Not bad. You hit level 80 last week, right after the show, right?
Yes, I did.
How's it feeling, finally being level 80, after all those grueling 2 days?
It feels interesting, that's to be sure. Or is a very interesting place.
No
very
spoilers.
buggy, but very fun.
No spoilers. All right, Kai, welcome. How far did you get so far? What's your level?
I am also level 80. I hit 80 about 8 hours ago, so I'm feeling good. Just started Ore. It's really fun. You should try it. Definitely.
Right. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Also joining us, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome, Gigawatt.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello. All right,
I'm level 2.
You're level 2? I think he's taking that as a badge of honor. Care to explain it for the people that don't know?
PvP characters, man. About my slots, I got 8, one of every profession, all level 2.
All
Actually,
right.
one's level 14 today because PvP's been down, and you know what's right?
That'll do it. Yeah,
Makes sense.
There you go. All right, so let's see here. So let's start out with Storytime this week, because I have a very interesting story that I happened to come across this week, but I wanted to hear from you guys. Freelancer, did you have anything extra awesome happen to you this week?
This week, no. See, the trading post hasn't been working, so my life has sucked. And, like, you know, I'm getting all this help from the guild and stuff. They're sending and they're expecting, you know, to make profits off it, but it's like, guys, trading post is down. So it's just PvE and World v World queues most of the week. Now, I can't say I'm not having fun, though. I think everybody's having a blast, but I really wish, like, the queues. Oh, God, the queues. Anyways, that's enough of that.
Well, you've got Conspiracy Keanu that pops up on Reddit every once in a while to say, what if the trading post is down to force people to buy bank slots? You know? So that's the thing. That's the thing that everybody's saying.
You know what's bad
Well,
about that, Bridger, is I maxed out my bank slots.
Come on, you were going to do that anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not as fast as I did, though.
Even I've maxed out my bank slots, and I'm no freelancer, so that says something.
I think I bought 2 bank slots. I think I wanted to try to stick with 1, but I wound up buying 2. I couldn't
Yeah, I
help
would
it.
too.
All
I
right.
don't know what I would put in it.
Kai, what did you have happen to you this week? Anything awesome?
I have just been zerging zones with my guild. I think that's been the most fun, literally just going into like our mumble chat, speaking in guild chat and saying, hey, I'm going to do Blood Tide Coast, who wants to come? And having like 20 people run around and 100%ing a zone in like 3 hours. I think that's probably been the most fun for me because there's so many of us, the events are happening, the hearts are being completed really fast, and we're seeing the boss fights and things like that. So as well as doing dungeons on the respective levels. So that's probably been the most fun for me.
Awesome. Giga, you've been playing a lot of PvP. How's it working out for you?
It's doing good. We've got a 99% win rate. We're just crushing everyone pretty much.
Wow,
there
that's
are
awesome
good
to
teams
hear.
out there which are really. It's really rare that we get a strong team, so it's nice when we do get a strong opponent. We got some respect for those guys, like mostly Harmless and AC. Deal with it is actually a new one. We haven't been quite fighting, and they're
They
pretty good.
stole your thing!
Yeah.
All right,
Pretty
that's
cool team.
awesome. So I have a story. It involves monthly achievement participation So what you guys may or may not know is we talked about it before on the show. There's daily achievements, and if you try to acquire all your daily achievements, then you'll get a little chest with some stuff. And the same is true for monthly achievements, which are more long-term style achievements. And I was trying to complete this in a week instead of a month, so one of these in particular, which people may know and hate, is called Survivor. Before I knew about the Survivor, I had fun playing Guild Wars 2. After I learned about Survivor, every moment was a tense situation of can't die, can't die, can't die, mustn't die, oh my god, I'm so close, can't die. Because the goal of Survivor is to get 100,000 XP without dying. Now, at level 80, this is actually fairly easy, and I noticed that as I got closer to 80, it became much easier. But when I was trying to do this last week, I was around level 40, and it was a little bit harder to do that. I had to play for about 2 or 3 hours straight, doing all kinds of dynamic events and stuff, and completing zones without actually dying. And it's a lot easier if you're doing it with somebody else who can help cover you if a whole bunch of stuff spawns around you. But in this particular instance, I will give you the countdown. The countdown is, we're going into this dredge cave, and we see all this scaffolding, and we're looking up, and there's a vista at the top of this scaffolding. This is in Dredge something. No, Timberline Falls? No. Something else. Anyway, it's one of those crazy zones. It might have been Lornar's. And it was in the Shiver Peaks anyway. So I'm at 98,000 XP. I'm 2,000 XP away. And I look up at this vista, and I go to Great, no, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't tempt fate. That's really high. And he's like, oh, come on, it's not that hard. So we climb up one string of scaffolding, get to the top, only to realize there's no way to get from there to the vista. So we go all the way back down. We go up the other one, which is right next to the vista. No way to get to the vista. So we go all the way back down and find the third one, and we make it all the way up there, fight a stupid boss in order to open a stupid door to get to the stupid vista, and, well, I'll show you what happened.
I'm thinking there was fall damage involved.
There may have been fall damage involved. Hang on, I think we're going the wrong way.
Yeah, but it's the veteran dredge oscillator.
So it's all Great's fault. You can
Oh,
see he's compelling
sorry.
me to go over to
Didn't
fight
know.
the veteran dredge oscillator for some reason, even though it's completely unnecessary. We're coming over here, and
It's
I
a pretty
am
cool
at...
looking zone.
It's
I like it.
definitely a cool looking zone. I mean, we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm over here. I'm fighting this stupid thing. I know I'm really close. I'm like, let's just get this vista and get out of here because we've been here for too long and it's too dangerous. And look, I've got my giant fiery greatsword. Everything's fine. So you know that door? Oh god! Oh no!
No! Did you just fall?
Oh
Did you
my
went
God.
still off?
Fell.
That was so fast.
Yes. My wife came in and was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And
That
she
is
thought I was just.
quality gold. Oh my God.
I explained to her later, and she's like, "Oh, that's why you were angry. Oh, that would make anybody angry. I thought you were just mad because you died." I was like, "Get over it. It's a game." I was like, I was at 98,600 points. I was
There is
this
an
close.
easier way. The crafting experience.
Shut
has-
up!
You can just collect all your materials, stand there,
Well,
and craft.
I had
and you
already
don't-
crafted everything I had, and the trading post was up. It was down.
That's so funny, though.
So, yeah, it was hilarious. But actually, I
That's
did manage
something
to.
I would do. If I can fall off something, I will fall off it. It takes me about an hour per vista. It takes me so long because I literally fall off everything possible. I would fall off the earth if I could. Seriously, it's
Did you do
it's
the one in
horrible.
Calvin Forest?
No, I can't.
Calvin
do
Forest, I
I'm
did
an
that. But the thing is here is after that, I resolved myself to kill every damn dredge in the entire zone because I blamed everything on poor safety standards of the dredge scaffolding construction crew. Clearly, it's their fault and they need to pay.
Obviously.
There's that.
So, anyway, it was, I mean, I finally did get the monthly the next day, but it was very frustrating at the time to do that. And I gotta tell you, it does add some semblance of tension when you know you've got a lot of XP and hey, I'd like to try and get this monthly thing done now, and hey, this is actually a little bit more tense because usually dying is like, who cares? I don't really. Okay, I'll just go AoE a bunch of mobs and hope that I kill them, and if I don't, well, who cares? But this is a little
Like
little
playing
more.
Diablo on hardcore.
A little bit.
Cannot
Yeah.
die.
Little bit. Not quite that intense, but a little bit. Now, like I said, at the 40-ish level, it was an intense couple of hours where you had to play in a row in order to get this achievement. But at the 60 level, I can do it in less than an hour. I imagine at the 80 level, it'll be about 20 minutes. Freelancer, have you've been at 80 for a little while. I mean, how you get XP a lot faster, I assume. What do you feel about this? Is it too short?
Well, I mean, I got most of mine. Like, I leveled to 36-ish, like anywhere from 36 to 41. Just normal, like everybody else does, doing public events and stuff. I wasn't part of our big launch team that hit 80, but at that point, like, I realized that I wasn't doing my personal story because I started in the northern Shiver Peak area when I was a human. So, like, all my stuff was over in Queensdale and all that. So I finally made the decision, okay, well, I'm going to start crafting because I'm sitting on a ton of copper and stuff. The guild's sitting on a bunch of copper and iron and stuff. I'll craft everything I can up to like 50 or 100. That's bound to get me a couple levels, and it did. Turns out, like, crafting, I found out about this, and I was excited about it. Crafting will get you, I think, per craft will get you 10 levels, right?
Yeah.
So I got like 2 to 3 levels off of like 4 different crafts, and I was like, okay, well, this will get me a little ahead. Well, I ended up maxing out cooking and artificing with the help of 2 guild members that were already level 80. And that got me another like 16 levels almost. So here I am now at like level, and of course I played a little bit between doing World v. World. So I'm sitting Sunday night between about level 65-ish, level 70, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start my personal story. So I did all my personal story quests from level 1, whatever was in Queensdale, something about the Queen. That's all I know. All the way up through level 70, and it actually got me to level 80. I still haven't finished the personal story, but that was sort of my thing. So, you know, everybody asking me how I leveled, it's crafting. I mean, you get so many mats and stuff. I just never realized how much experience you get from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot. What I basically did was a different kind of way to you, but I would say, for example, play for like a 10-hour period. Everything that I collected, I then, just before I'm so tired that I'm going to go to sleep, I'd go to the crafting places, craft everything, and get like a good 2 or 3 levels on top of what I'd already got that day before, you know, I finally went to sleep. So it was really good, and I crafted a lot as well.
Yeah, the key to getting a lot of crafting materials seems to be scaling up dynamic events, because if you can get in a group of 10 or 12 people and scale up a dynamic event, it's going to spawn a lot more guys. And if you tag each of those guys, everybody in your group is going to like triple or quadruple the number of drops that they get. That's how you get tons of claws. That's how you get tons of totems and other things. And the pirates seem to be the best ones because they drop those little booty bags that have basically potential to drop any of those things in them. You don't have to farm specific mobs to get scales because those little booty bags could be anything.
Well, that's why I found like having the big groups to do like 100% on zones was good, because not only were you getting every single heart done, but you're also scaling up the events really big, which meant you got, more XP and more crafting materials as well.
Yeah. Our launch team, Berger, if you have a picture of that, you know, their thing, Team Legacy did this little idea of a launch team, which was to get groups of people together, like-minded, that had nothing but time to burn. They played 24 hours straight, some of them longer than that, even though I told them not to, and just rushing to level 80. The idea of this was to get to level 80 and start farming mats and stuff so that we could control the materials market on like tier 5, tier 6 stuff before anybody else had access to it. Because if you were somebody just crafting and you had a bunch of gold to spend, right, you know, you'd craft tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 because everybody was providing that. But at that point, you have to go to the auction house and start buying stuff, and we were hoping to provide that. Well, Trading Post was down, but that didn't stop our guys from leveling in either case. Mm-hmm. They got to level 80, when was it? I think it was Sunday morning.
It was Sunday night, Monday morning. Very early Monday morning, about 2 a.m. or something. It was like right after the show. I think they were hitting like 75, 79 in that area. So that's about the time when they were doing it.
And their big trick to it, to anybody that's looking to do the same, was to stick together. They had about 5 to 8 people stick together and do these public events nonstop. But what they also figured out, Bridger, was that the longer a mob was sitting in a given area, like they went to these new areas, and nobody had ever been there before. So there's all these mobs around that would give you a ton of bonus experience. Yep. So they ended up veering off of just doing public events and looking for these groups of mobs, these larger groups, and just massacring all of them and getting all the
tag
bonus
them all,
experience
get them all together, AoE. Yeah, that'll do it
Yep.
too. Absolutely.
And they got a bunch of server, and as far as we're concerned, like US side first. We don't know about the Europe side, but we checked through and stuff. They knocked down Shatterer, and there's another dragon. I'm not big into PvE, but there's whatever one you start, whatever
It's a
one starts with the
Castrol
T.
dragon.
The one with the Aztec name.
Yeah. Twaddle.
They knocked that down
Twaddle, yeah.
first, and they were checking the forums and stuff. So it was exciting. I mean, it's not really what TL founded to do, but for them to get together and do so well together, and for that to take off like it did, I'm so proud of them. And they had such a blast doing it too. I think they formed bonds that will last years.
Yeah, I'm just concerned with the monthly achievement because I kind of enjoyed the sense of, oh man, I don't actually want to die. Now, to be fair, when you're getting to the higher levels and it costs you like $1.50 silver or 2 silver to waypoint back after your death, and then on top of that you're paying your repair costs, there is an incentive to not die. So, early on it's like really cheap compared to what you get in your actual events and things like that, but it's getting way more expensive to actually die. So I still feel that pressure there. So maybe the monthly thing is just for fun. Anyway, one thing that you were speaking of before that I said is I've commented to a couple people because we were in the Dredgehaunt Cliffs, and that cave was a unique cave. Like, I'd gone in a bunch of dredge caves, and all of them had been fairly unique. And I compared that to my experience in World of Warcraft. Now, it's not a fair comparison because this is World of Warcraft when it came out in 2004 or 5 or whenever it was. So, I mean, this is not at all a fair comparison. But, I think, oh, yeah, those 2 different cave designs that I played around with in World of Warcraft. It's like it was either this cave design or that cave design.
Different color, different mobs in it. Totally.
Yeah, same exact cave layout. It was almost the difference between Oblivion and Skyrim. Like, Oblivion had those same 4 or 5 cave designs or dungeon designs, and Skyrim's all felt handcrafted. That's the same thing that Guild Wars 2 feels. Is all of those things feel handcrafted, and it's amazing. And the kind of detail that goes into it, where I actually get lost in the thing, is pretty cool. I really like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's been a lot of times where I've got lost, and to the point where it's kind of just like, I just really want to get out of here now, but I don't want to spend like 2 silver just to get out of here. And it just takes forever. There's a million events going on around you, and you just get so caught up that you're just like stuck in this one place forever. But it is really fun, and I enjoy it.
Absolutely. So let's, I guess, move on here. The first thing I wanted to point out is I got a new website set up here, a new page on the website. I've just collected all the different links that I use to reference and to use on the show and other things, and I've put them on the Tales of Tyria website. I'm going to try to keep this updated as much as possible, so if you find something that you think is missing from here that is a higher enough quality to fit here, go ahead and send us an email, feedback@talesoftyria.com, and let me know. But right now I've got a couple of different sections. These are basically websites that will help you with your Guild Wars 2 play. So you've got your map section where there's a bunch of different maps here. These are the bookmarks that I have for maps. Then you've got the reference links. If you're trying to look something up about the game, one of these 2 things will probably have it. We've got the Guild Wars 2 Guilds database, the Guild Wars 2 Wiki, the Guild Wars 2 Curse database, and I think I also have to put Guildhead on here as well, because those are all sort of the highest quality reference links that I could find. There's a couple of really, really high-level guides about Guild Wars 2 already that are on here, so if you find any more of those, let me know. Forum communities, and then there's also the calculators and name generators and things like that. So build calculators, emblem generators, etc. So that I just threw on the website. Somebody suggested that I collect all the links that I routinely link to on the show and put them here. So that's right located at the top of the screen there. So I wanted to let everybody know about that. Next up, there is, and I'm sure you guys saw this, Name Rage is now hilarious, because there was a bunch of posts by the Arenanet support team on Reddit where basically they were trying to explain about the naming situation, and there were a bunch of people replying to this in comment form saying, well, my name was blah, 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 and I don't think that deserves a ban. And Arenanet responded and basically said, oh, you weren't banned because your name was blah, blah, blah. You were banned for the racial slurs that you were using in public map chat and calling other people noobs and assholes, etc. And so, I don't know where they all went to. They seem to have all, oh, there it is, maybe. There was a whole ton of them here where somebody said, can you please check this name? And then Arenanet would respond and like, well, you typed this in map chat. It was It was like a public shaming expedition. It was fantastic. And I'm not
Named
sure.
and shamed.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's gone. It seems like they may have all been deleted. Maybe they thought it was a bad idea. But I kind of liked the public shaming of asshats for what it's worth. But that just goes to show, listen, if you are an asshole in the game and somebody is trying to ask for help or something and you call them a noob and put them down, somebody's going to right-click on your name and report it. And if enough people report it, Arenanet will take a look at that and decide if you're enough of an asshat that deserves a 72-hour ban. So don't be an asshat. That's the moral of the story here. What do you guys think? Do you like that they're doing that? They're being so hard on
like
the ban.
it.
Definitely.
And it actually looks like they're looking at it as well. It's not just 5 people have reported this player, so they instantly get a ban. It actually seems like they're looking into it because, you do get the troll people who will, if I saw Freelancer in Lions Arch, I was like, hey, guild, everyone right-click and report Freelancer, haha, just as a joke. Like, if they instantly just banned him, that'd be unfair. But it's cool they're actually looking into the conversations and actually looking at what's going on to make it fair.
Yep, absolutely. So next up, I don't know how many people saw this, but I thought this was a really cool initiative. The Reddit community, the Reddit Guild Wars 2 community, got together, organized, donated, and had 300 or more cupcakes delivered to the Arenanet offices on Monday morning, this past Monday, as a show of appreciation for all those guys that are going to be basically working super overtime shifts there over the weekend / this week. So that was awesome, and they posted about it on Twitter, so I wanted to throw a big shout out and say that's a pretty freaking awesome community there. That's fantastic. Another very interesting thing here, I want to see if you guys have had this experience. This is somebody basically saying how awesome the Guild Wars 2 community is and how honest they are. Because with the trading post down, people haven't been able to actually get trades going back and forth. There's no economy. So this player says, I decided to try and start offering trades by mail and try to just trust people and see if I can get something. Not for big trades, because I know people could scam me, but maybe for small ones. And he said it worked. And nobody was like backstabbing him and not delivering what they promised. So he started scaling it up to things that were more and more expensive. And suddenly he decided to just try and experiment. And he sent random people that were chilling in Lion's Arch 30 silver, and then sent a follow-up message in the mail saying, hey, I accidentally sent, some money to you. I was trying to send it to somebody else. Can you send it back? Out of, let's see, he said 8 people got that 30 silver, and every single one of them gave the silver back. And out of the 35 trades that he did, not a single person backstabbed him. Is Guild Wars 2 the most honest community?
That is really good. I mean, it's something I was worried about without a trade feature, because I'm one of those people that I max crafting pretty high, and I will offer to craft things for other people if they're looking for people to, say, craft them exotic gear. And they've got to kind of trust me by giving me, say, Oraculum ore and the high-level gems and ectoplasms, and I could just take that and not give it to them. So there is a big trust issue, and I think if it works, then hopefully it stays that way.
Absolutely. So somebody pointed out, just wondering, was it a coincidence that you tested whether people would betray you for 30 pieces of silver?
Oh my god.
And for those of you
The
not
internet.
getting that, Wikipedia that. So that I thought was pretty cool. Now, some people have gone to point out that almost every MMO community, the hardcore fans usually want to have that community atmosphere, and so early on you'll have that feeling, but as the game grows and gets bigger and moves on, you'll have a lot more shady community members come in. So I don't know if that's true, but we'll see. Hopefully we can just try and keep it as good a place as possible, right?
Yeah.
Not much we can do about it. All right. So how have you guys been dealing with the trading post been down? Was there any special method that you used to try and deal with it? Kai, you said you were sending stuff around. Giga, you didn't even care, did you?
What? The trading post?
Yeah.
I didn't notice. But it's
can't
been about
trade
the same
PvP
story with
items.
PvP lately. It's been the same story. It's really, they've been dropping the ball, frankly, on the PvP server. It's been really unreliable. They're completely down right now. They probably won't be up until Tuesday.
Oh man, I didn't even know that. That's terrible.
They work Labor Day because the office is locked up. You can't get through to anybody but QA right now.
Hey,
Wow.
Giga, you want to run Ascalonian Catacombs with me?
But
Oh god, just
I fight the whole dungeon at once. I will walk in, and my level 14 body will probably aggro them all.
Fresh meat. The ghosts run to this front. So I asked that because there are a lot of legitimate complaints that some people have, but there are also a lot of illegitimate complaints. For example, I read the forums and I see things like people complaining about queues in World versus World, or people complaining about overflow servers, and I can't play with my friends, overflow servers are lame, etc. And I just, it gets me a little bit angry. And when I get angry, I gotta vent. And when I vent, it's called a bridge of rant. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, overflow servers are for your own freaking benefits. All right? That's for your benefit. That's not to help Arenanet. That's to help your ass not sit in a queue to even play the game. Overflow servers are there so that when you log in, you get in like that. You don't have to sit there at a queue staring at a screen. Place 816 of 1600. Please wait 20 minutes for other players to vacate the server. No, you don't have to do that. Because of overflow servers. And yes, they're not working perfectly as intended, but the number of people out there that I see that are saying, we need to get rid of overflow servers, it's the stupidest thing, why can't we all just play in the same server, apparently have no idea how software works. And the same thing goes for the people that are whining about the queues in World versus World. I see people that are, well, Dark Age of Camelot had no cap at all, and that was years ago, so why can't they do it now? Clearly Arenanet doesn't know what they're doing. Yes, because Dark Age of Camelot and Guild Wars 2 are identical in all ways. And oh, by the way, I guarantee you that Dark Age of Camelot had a limit. It just never got hit because it wasn't as freaking popular as Guild Wars 2 is. Calm the hell down. Not that queues aren't a problem, but there are people implying that they shouldn't be there. That, well, they should just raise the cap. Oh yeah, okay, even if that was technically feasibly possible, let's say the servers can handle that. No problem, let's just raise the cap. Now, instead of 200 people in the same place fighting, you've got 500 people. Does that make the experience better than waiting in line for it? I don't think so.
And then they'll complain that their frame rates are terrible.
Of course they will.
I've got that.
And they'll blame Arenanet for not optimizing the game enough.
Yes. But let's get
People
to
be
that.
crazy.
Now, obviously just raising, even if they could optimize it to the point where they could raise the frame rate, what they're worried about, and what I'm worried about, honestly, is you've got like 2 or 3 cross swords on the map, and that's where everybody's going to go for the most part. You're just going to increase the size of those fights. You're not really going to make the fight spread out that way. Is that like, because that seems to be a problem.
Yeah, if the problem right now, you're talking about queues, right?
Yeah,
Just
if
in
you
general?
simply increase the cap, it's going to ruin the experience for the people that are actually in there, because instead of spreading, more people are coming in. Instead of having more fights going on all over the map, the single or double fights that are happening are just going to get bigger and less, you're going to have less impact on them.
In my experience, it comes down to more of the types of players. Like, I never go into World v. World and feel like we have a lower amount of players, or that the other side has too many. There's always action going on everywhere. I don't think there's a place anybody can run in World v. World in any Borderland that has the full servers where something's not going on where you're running to. Unless you're running out in the middle of nowhere to a jumping puzzle, it's something's going on. So I think the biggest complaint a lot of people are having right now is the way that Arenanet has set up their point system, where like now Doliacs and stuff have been nerfed, but you have a lot of people that are not necessarily looking to to win for the server or have that server pride or for the benefits, those little percentage benefits. They're looking to, because they know that karma and they know that experience is very quickly gained through doing things that don't actually help the server, like attacking that tower. They know that attacking that keep is going to take forever, and they won't gain anything by attacking that keep, but they will gain something by escorting a Doliac on the freaking opposite side of the map. So they will sit there and do that. And that's just the way some players are. So the complaint is not so much, and I'm speaking on behalf of like the way a lot of my members feel, but the complaint isn't so much the queue times, it's that you're queuing against people in World v. World that don't really care about the aspect of a server winning against another server as much as they care about maximizing their own karma and experience gain. How do we fix this? I don't know, but I'm sure Arenanet is talking about this every single hour of every single day, because they have to see the 50 players that are sitting on top of Doliacs as they escort back and forth. I guarantee they see that.
Taking up valuable slots. I mean, we could just create a server just for them to escort Doliacs, and then we could go fight in the real fight. You know? Now, so that raises a good question. So if you can't simply, I would suggest that you can't simply raise the caps to a big enough level to get rid of queues, right? If there's 700 people on your server that want to get in and there's only 500 slots, I think raising the caps to what make up 700 won't necessarily make the game better. But what if we added more maps? Gigawatt, what do you think? Yeah. If we added like a second Eternal Battlegrounds that the same 3 servers could fight over, would that solve the problem?
I think it'd be a good step. I'm used to Persistent Warfare and EVE Online, which is like an unprecedentedly massive universe. And there's still issues with big clashes holding over points, so I don't know if it would... There's always going to be choke points, right? And then places strategically valuable positions that are you need to hold it so much you're going to put everybody there. So I don't really know if they could separate them enough and make everything of equal value enough that you wouldn't want to concentrate and hold one thing, and you'd be trying to outmaneuver the other person. Because I think that would be the most interesting. Where you'd want to split and outmaneuver and put just enough forces to hold this off and move in somewhere else at the same time. But I think more maps would probably be a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that would take a lot of effort, I'm sure, though, because I think each map is its own server cluster, or server itself, however they get it set up. So you'd have to set up more hardware in order for that solution to actually do anything. That's not just simply a software fix. You can't just say,
definitely.
"Oh yeah, just turn on the other servers, no problem." So hopefully that we'll see some kind of an improvement there, because on a lot of the big servers that are full all the time, those queues, you can never get in unless you're sitting in there for a good 2 or 3 hours, and even then you can't get in with the people that you want because maybe they've only been queuing for an hour, and so they can't get in either. So we'll see. I mean, Arenanet's got a lot of smart people at it, right? I mean, this is an amazing game. We can all agree. If there's a problem there, they're going to figure it out and solve it. So let's move on here to the roundtable. We've got a bunch of things to talk about this week in terms of some sort of controversies that have sprung up in the first week. The first one I wanted to talk about is the exploit issue, because this is the one that's getting the most press on the forums. And to briefly recap for those that don't know, there was an error on one of the Karma vendors. There was a piece of equipment. I believe it was armor. Does anybody know? Was it armor or a weapon? I can't remember. One or the other.
It was a weapon.
It was a weapon.
A weapon.
That was 21 Karma instead of 21,000. Somebody messed up on the decimal place there a little bit. So as a result, the thing about this is you could buy a huge quantity of this, because everybody knows you've got thousands, tens of thousands of karma by the time you're level 80 at least. So you could buy hundreds, if not thousands, of copies of this weapon if you wanted to. And then what do you do with it? Well, some aspiring entrepreneurs figured out that if you throw it into the Mystic Forge, 4 copies of it, I think it was a level 40 weapon or something, then you could wind up with something like a level 60. And then if you throw 4 of those in there, then you could wind up with a level 80 exotic. Now, it didn't happen every time. And in fact, it took more than simply 16 of them in order to guarantee an exotic. It took a couple hundred. But you could then sell that exotic on the trading post for a ton of gold. And it basically cost you nothing, for all intents and purposes. That karma, it was really easy to get. So this resulted in a lot of people getting banned. I think they said 3,000 permanent bans or something to that effect. Hang on, I've got it open here if I'm not mistaken.
3,000 permanent.
That was essentially sort of taken back if you filed an appeal. So there was originally 3,000 permanent bans and something like 5,000 temporary 72-hour bans based on the severity of the exploit. Now, it should be pointed out that people who simply bought 1 copy of that weapon, or even like 2 or 3 copies of the weapon, those people did not get banned. Only the people that bought the weapon and then bought it multiple times and then tried to use it on the Mystic Forge.
I think it was like 50 times.
50 times? That was their sort of
bought
limit?
more than 50 times, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So if you bought it more than 50 times, then it's clear you know you're doing something wrong. Like, if you're not just a character that goes, wow, that's a really cheap weapon. That would look good with my warrior. I will buy one. Or even 2, just so I have a backup for my guardian or whatever. Like, you have to buy times. When you're looking at 21 karma, the next thing on the list is 18,000.
Exactly.
The one after that is 30,000. Oh yeah, this makes total sense. I'm supposed to use this to make tons of money for myself. I'm pretty sure that's what the intent was. So they kind of rolled that back and said, okay, fine. For the people that we gave permanent bans to, count this as a one-time warning. We'll let you have a 72-hour if you contact us and appeal it. So this caused a massive sort of uproar in the community here. People are like, Arenanet, it's your fault. Why are you banning people for something that's your fault? And other people are saying, well, no, you should know better than to exploit, and I'm glad that Arenanet is doing this because I don't want people like this in my game. So this is a very topsy-turvy subject. Let's hear where everybody stands. Freelancer, what do you think about this whole thing?
I have sort of a different point of view, I think, than most people on exploits and stuff. The way I see exploits and the definition of exploits is, does it hurt another player? These here, this mass farming of exotics and stuff hurts other players. So what Arenanet did, I'm all for. Do I think the punishment fits the crime? No. A lot of these people that bought these exotics and did the the Mystic Forge and got them up to level 80 and stuff, are just opportunists. It's not in their blood necessarily to try to ruin other people's gaming experience. You can't say that all 3,000 of those people had the full intention of ruining your game, Bridger, or Kai or anybody. That was the last thing on their mind. What they saw was an opportunity of, oh, I can get a shiny new exotic sword, they're going to do it. And I think most people, it's like when you lay a $20 bill in the road, it could, and you pick it up. How many people are going to actually walk to the nearest store and ask if somebody dropped their $20 bill? Does that make them evil people and they deserve to be banned from society? No. It's just a lot of and there's exceptions. A lot of those players probably knew quite well that they were going to be ruining the economy. They had the intention of selling the weapon and such. But I'm sure there's a far greater majority that just wanted a cool weapon and they saw a way of doing it, so they took advantage of it. So the ban's absolutely worth it, but permaban, not so much. So I'm glad that Arenanet, I think they ended up seeing eye to eye, and they ended up, I guess, putting out a bulletin that if you were banned, you could put in a ticket, I think, right?
Yeah, you could put in a ticket.
And you get exchanged for a 72-hour ban.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was great because most of those players, and I still believe this, most of those players that exploited likely never had any intention of ruining other people's gaming experience. And little did they know they would have. Getting a bunch of exotics out there would have ruined everything. I mean, you could break those down for Ecto, and you could break those down for all the Orichalcum and all the high-tier stuff. But I don't really think that was what was going through their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kai, do you feel the same as Freelancer, or do you have a different opinion?
Yeah, I feel the same. One little thing that I would kind of add to that is I'm glad that they went with the permaban option to begin with, because I personally feel that was a really good scare tactic. Everyone sees Arenanet as this really community-focused, happy, they interact with everyone, they like talking to their fans, and, they really get down and let us know what's going on. And I think people took advantage of that and saw, they couldn't do any harm to us. They're not going to hurt us. We're their beloved fans. And I kind of like the fact they went with the scare tactic way and kind of then went back on it, because it scared people into thinking, oh my God, I may actually be permabanned. But now it's like 72 hours. So they're like, phew, I've learned my lesson, but I'm not going to mess with Arenanet again. So I kind of like that they went that way.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It really shows, hey, we mean business about protecting the experience of our players, which, by the way, we can see they mean business because they turned off sales on their own website in order to make sure that the experience of players that were already in the game wasn't ruined. They have this faucet of money flowing into their office over here, and they're like, if we leave that on, then some of the players in our game are going to have a hard time, playing. It's going to be a big problem for them. And, if it was somebody at EA, no, leave the faucet on. It's okay. They'll deal with it. They'll figure it out later. The faucet is what's important. Arenanet goes over and turns the faucet off. So that's pretty awesome. That shows a real dedication to basically, we understand that our community is what keeps us in business, and if they don't like us, they won't keep us in business anymore. We want them to buy our stuff because it's awesome. That's our business model. We're not going to buy it because marketing is really your feelings on the whole thing?
I thought they handled it really well. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be like devil's advocate, like, yeah, they're awesome for exploiting, you know, right? But
Banned from the show. The last person is always supposed to disagree. I think that's in the
I pretty much
contract.
agree with it. I really like what they did, calling out people on Reddit, just like they did for the other bands. They were like, "Hey, I shouldn't have been banned. I didn't exploit it that bad." And they're like, "You bought it 400 times.
Yeah.
What's your name? We'll tell you. We'll tell you how many times you bought it." Like, it
Yeah.
was excellent.
We can track that. I mean, that just
Hey guys,
hopefully
right there.
hopefully what that will do is make people think twice. I mean, it really already has, because people were talking about the Order of Whispers, the Vigil, and the Derman Priory. They have their own cultural armor, sort of faction armor, and it was much cheaper than other faction armor. It was like 2 gold for a full set, and everybody was like, is that a mistake? Should I buy that? That's kind of cheap. I don't want to get banned. I don't know. And
Yeah.
I don't think it was a problem insofar
They've
as
taken it down now. They've you can't actually buy it anymore because they've recognized it. But I don't think that it was to the point where people would get banned, because I don't actually think you could even salvage it, because I know you can't salvage some Karma gear. But yeah, they've just taken it down now, and you can't access it. And then once it goes back up, it'll be the normal price.
Yeah, it appears that they also raised the karma cost of all of the cultural vendors to some abnormally high degree. It's like some massive number that you won't even, like, at level 40 armor, you can afford 1 piece of that armor when you're level 50 or something like that.
Yeah, it seems silly.
It seems very
They really
silly.
don't want you turning karma to gold.
That's the thing. I think
They really don't.
they didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't see this coming, so they're trying to sort of band-aid it right now. But I think those costs are going to go back down, because right now it doesn't make any sense to have cultural weapons with the same skins as things that drop, cultural weapons and armor, the same things that greens that drop, at prices that you can't afford at the level that they're at. It doesn't make any sense to me, because you can't buy them for the skins, because you can get those skins and greens for free. So it's weird. So I think they're working on that. I noticed that stuff I used to be able to buy from a Karma vendor, and after I was done with it, I could salvage it. Can't do it no more. So I think all vendor items are slowly being changed so that they are non-salvageable and non-mystic forgeable, I guess is the
But I mean, I kind of feel like that's a little bit unfair, because, say, for example, I mean, the level 80 Karma gear is really expensive. I won't go into detail in case people don't want to know, spoilers, whatever, but it is expensive. And I think if I've worked hard to farm all of that Karma, and then I decide that I actually want a different skin and I want to craft it, I might want the Ectos or the ore or whatever from that gear, and I just think I should be able to salvage it to then turn it into a crafted piece. So I'm kind of I feel it's unfair that I can't salvage the gear that I farmed Karma to buy. I don't know.
Yeah,
what does everyone else think?
It's a weird byproduct of their system. I don't know, Freelancer, you're the economics expert. Is there a solution to this problem that allows people to salvage stuff that they buy from a vendor?
Just raise the prices. Seems pretty simple to me. Their problem with these Karma vendors, and the problem, it wasn't just the Karma vendors, by the way, there was others, but there was actually vendors where you could buy with 15 silver, 26 copper. Don't ask me why I know that. You could buy have you ever been to the Vigil recently? You can go to the Vigil and buy a bunch of items and armor and stuff and salvage them to get Ecto. Arenanet caught awareness of this and shut it down, because it was one of those where you could just essentially make free money by spending money. It wasn't so overly imbalanced where they banned anybody for it, but if you now go to the Vigil, for example, this very moment, it's shut down. You can't buy anything. Yeah, so they're restructuring the prices. They likely, what they'll do, those Vigil items are pretty cool, especially the sword. What they'll likely do is just raise the prices on. Make it where...
I wish I'd gone and bought the Derman Priory one when I had the chance.
Yeah, same.
And
so ugly.
They'll raise the prices on it. So what was 15 silver for a dagger or a mace and some other weapons will likely, when we get back, cost 80 silver a piece. And at that point, it'll just be, where if you salvage them, you're not making money.
Yep. Hopefully that'll be the easiest solution we can hope for. And Karma does take a while to get. It's just, you got to figure out something for those tier 1 cultural weapons, because nobody's going to buy them ever, because you're not going to buy them for the skin, because you can already get the skin through drops, and you're not going to buy them at level, so you're never going to buy them.
And
just so
if
weird.
everyone knew how much the level 80 karma gear was, no one would ever buy anything from a karma vendor ever, just to save it all up.
Yeah. I noticed the World versus World karma vendor level 80 like rare stuff is like that's very expensive. And so is the what's it called? The World versus World stuff that you can buy with the badges of honor. You have to farm a long time to get those too. So I mean, we're still in the early days, and it's important to remember that this is the very first week of launch of a massive game that's been in development for 5 years, and to say that Arenanet screwed everything up and I'm mad is a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction here, especially people that say Arenanet is bad because of X. Well, okay, Arenanet is a very large organization. At which part of this organization are you mad? You can't just say the entire organization is junk, because obviously that's not true. I'm enjoying this game to a massive degree. The designers and the artists and the storytellers and the narrators and everything, the voice artists, they did a fantastic job providing me with an amazing experience. There are certain design decisions that turned out to be a little unwise. I think we can see that in retrospect over the first week or so. That, I think we can give them the benefit of the doubt and the rest of the launch goes so smoothly. So I have confidence that they'll be able to fix these problems and prevent any major issues in the future. Here's the next question. As we go towards that, there is a question of whether Arenanet can do any kind of change to the game state. For example, rollbacks. And some people have been speculating that Arenanet doesn't have the ability to change their own game, and that's the reason that they had to ban people instead of just rolling it back and saying, actually, the stuff you bought was, too expensive, so we're rolling you back to the point before you bought it or something, instead of banning you. Like that. And then, people, for example, here's a very important thing for you guys to know. If you go to the gem store and you buy something multiple times by accident, the response from Arenanet support is, I'm sorry, we can't help you. Buying unwanted items is your own fault, and we can't do anything about it. We can't refund your gems. We can't take the item from you, even if you haven't used it. It's whatever it is. So that kind of implies that they don't have the ability to do this, or maybe they do, but they don't want to set a precedent that they will. But a lot of people are not happy about this. Have you guys ever accidentally bought something twice from the gem store, even in the betas?
I don't think so. I've had it lag out and not buy at all. I mean, it took me a lot of attempts to try and get the celebration hat thing, but I've not accidentally bought anything. It just kind of lags and doesn't do anything. But after I actually saw this post on Reddit, and after seeing that, I'm actually scared to buy anything ever again on there, just in case it does lag out and then happens twice or something like that.
Yeah.
I bought an extra celebration hat. All my gems. All my gems.
All your 0 gems. I mean, the scary thing here is there's not a lot of feedback on that user interface. When you click on something, it'll say success if it went through, and most of the time that's immediate. But sometimes it does nothing, and you're like, did I get charged? Did I get my item? None of the above? What happened? Like, it doesn't say processing, it doesn't say failed, it just says nothing. And that's a big UI problem that exacerbates this whole issue of we won't give you any refunds even if you accidentally bought something twice. Like, that's a real big turnaround from the Arenanet that we expect to know.
I'm surprised that this wasn't brought up in beta weekends, because if we've thought about it, there's definitely other people who have thought about it. I'm sure people posted on the forums during the beta weekends and said, there needs to be some form of confirmation because this will happen. And I'm just shocked. I think, to me, it seems something simple that could be put in, because I've noticed now that when you buy something on the trading post, you actually do get a little success button. So I think that'd be easy to implement on the gem store, but obviously I'm not a programmer, so I don't know.
It might even be in the gem store. I'm not sure. So this is very interesting, and it looks like the definitely never press submit more than once if you're going to the gem store. That's the real takeaway from this. And if you don't get it right away, just wait a day. Just in case, because you don't want to spend your gems twice for the same piece of armor, then have 2 pieces of that armor, and then you don't need it. Like that's the nightmare scenario. And according to the user agreement, it's your own fault. So I don't know.
In regards to the rollback, I actually about account security a long time ago, and Arenanet actually did publicly state that one of their account security options would be that they could actually roll your character back to a previous state if you'd been hacked. So I don't know if that kind of all fell through, because I've not actually seen something about it recently, but they specifically did say that if you were hacked, you could actually just log out, they could re-roll your character back to a previous state and everything would be fine. So I'm not sure about that now, but they did say that. So
that's interesting. I mean, that's probably been something on the design document, but maybe it's just not ready for prime time yet. Because I mean, we're reading some things in here saying that they won't do that for hacked accounts. I mean, I'm not sure about that. This is all secondhand, so take everything with a grain of salt.
Right.
I'm guessing, though, if they can't do that right now, that's something they're working on. Like, 100% sure. Because especially if you're talking about they had that on the design document, because every MMO has that. That's a super useful tool. And it's much better to be able to say to somebody who got hacked, sorry, your account got hacked. Here, let's give it back to you. Like, that's a much better customer service answer than, screwed now, bud. Too bad. Totally. So, speaking of that, there is a big security issue going on. A lot of people are getting, a lot of people, I should say. Let me clarify. A small percentage of people that are very vocal are talking about getting hacked. And in fact, my wife had her account tried to be broken into, and the only thing that stopped the other person from breaking into it was the email authentication thing that Arenanet has set up and working now. And she would get emails from someplace, saying someplace in China was trying to log into her account. And she's like, I do not wish to authorize that. So she quickly changed her password. But the key takeaway here, guys, is make sure your Guild Wars password is unique and different from your email password. And your email password should be different and unique from anything else you use on the internet. If I go to guildwars2guru.com and I type in my email and then I use the same password for guildwars2guru.com as I use for my email, I've just given, and now I'm trusting that forum software to never get hacked and the people on there to be 100% honest. Okay, Guild Wars 2 Guru is a massive organization. You can probably trust them, but how many different forums do you sign up for on a monthly basis that are just shady, you don't know who they are? How many different things do you sign up for where you just make an account? Don't use the same password on those things as you use on your email, guys. It's just common sense. It's a lot of people don't know this, but they've never been targets before. Now that you have a Guild Wars 2 account, you're a target. That's a scary thought.
You're multiplying your vulnerabilities. The more places you put the same password, any one of them gets hacked, they're into everything.
And that's
I think it's silly when
4% more damage.
People will have like their email address, the same email address as their like WoW account, and then I'm like, oh, did you ever get hacked before? They're like, yeah, my WoW account got hacked. I'm like, so why are you using the same email address and password? Yeah, people are silly, but I don't know.
And any other account security suggestions for our listeners?
I think that most things Arenanet just kind of said was, make a unique email address, set up a Gmail email address. It's free, it's easy. Make one specifically for Guild Wars 2, and use a unique password and set up the email authentication so that it does notify you, like you said your wife did, that it will email you and say that people are trying to log in. And I think they said that if you are getting multiple people trying to log into the account, just contact Arenanet and they, will try and do something about it. But
the other important thing is the longer the password, the better. It's not so much how many characters and whether you have letters and numbers. It's how long it is, because the way decryption methods work, it would literally, just for WEP, decryption, which is one of the more main ones for like Wi-Fi right now, you would, for a 12-character long password for even like the FBI or somebody that is, has one of these programs, you get them all over the internet trying to decrypt it. A 12-character password will take about 22 years to break with one computer. So it's, the longer the password, the better. If you put your birthday, that's fine. I mean, that's what according to CNN, 60% of the U.S. does.
Oh no.
If you want to if you're going to put your birthday, okay, put your birthday and then your dog's name, you know, or put your cat's name and then your birthday, or put your birthday and then your anniversary.
Overseer
Like
cats.
I mean, just the point is, the longer it is, you don't have to worry about it. If it's 5 characters, it doesn't matter how intricate you make. It doesn't matter if you have just a bunch of crazy letters and numbers. You are far more. It's 12 characters that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, it really are. It's because it's not people trying to guess your password that you have to be worried about. It's those that actually have those decryption methods that will go at it nonstop. And of course, this applies to Wi-Fi, but it applies to a lot of things like email accounts and stuff, where they have computers that will just spend all day, every day, trying to break your password.
Yeah, exactly what you said. I mean, a lot of places that when you make your password, they say, you need to use a capital and numbers and symbols, and that's way less important than the number of characters. As you said, it is, and what I have heard as good advice is basically pick 3 words that are at least 3 or 4 letters long, and just put them in a random order, and they may even have some significance to you, and then there you go, you're done. Put a capital letter in there one place. That is way more secure than a 5-character password that's random and uses numbers and symbols and letters, and it doesn't make any sense to anybody, not even you. It's way easier to remember, like bus, chow, barrel. Like, if you remember those 3 words in that in that particular order, and the fact that barrel has a capital B, that password is way stronger than that 5-character password that's filled with jumbled letters and numbers.
Now you all know how to log into Bridger's account.
Yeah. No, so definitely if you want to secure one and you want to be able to remember it, use 3 words that are at least 3 or 4 letters long. The longer the better. Easy words that you can remember, especially if they make some significance to you but nobody else. Bam, you've got a really secure password and an easy one to remember at that. You don't have to come up with a J-O, capital P, exclamation point, number 16, whatever. You don't need that stuff. That's unnecessary, and it makes it harder and less likely that people will actually use that. When people are told that they need to do that for their password, they go, oh, and they type in password. You know? They don't want to do that. Nobody wants to remember that.
It's not like it's your bank account. You know, if you do come up with a password that is kind of really cryptic, you know, you've picked 4 words and they're really random, just write it down and blue tack it to your computer screen. No one's gonna break into your house and think, you know what I'm gonna do with this house? I'm gonna play Guild Wars 2 on their account and steal all their gold. I mean, just have it there. Don't write what it is. Just stick it there on your PC screen. And you only know that it's for Guild Wars 2. No one's going to come into your house and steal your computer to play your game, so just do that.
I can see it now. The cop shows up at the house and he's like, yeah, I heard we had a burglary here. Yes, officer. They didn't take anything except my Guild Wars 2 password. Son, did you know it's a crime to file a false police report? No, Honester Supreme, please.
I'm sure they have a code for that.
It's
now that it's released.
The game is released. Oh yeah,
it's like
that's
502, a Guild Wars 2 theft.
We have a Guild Wars 2 theft.
You guys are awful.
Oh man, but it's true. So now the trading post, alive or dead? I mean, we've been having these issues. It seems to be coming up more and more throughout the last couple of days. That's definitely good. And it seems like most of the failures is what somebody pointed out. Most of the issues that Arenanet has been around web development technology. I mean, they seem to make a really good game, but when it comes to making a web interface that tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people have to use simultaneously, well, it turns out that's really hard. As it happens. So we're glad to see that the trading post is coming up. That means they're getting that stuff set up. A lot of people are still demanding authenticators. That's something you guys would use if it was available?
Yeah, totally. I would rather that than the email authentication. Just
Maybe
purely because I just think if someone's got access to your Guild Wars 2 account and you're not that intelligent and you've got your Guild Wars 2 account the same as your email account, if they've managed to log into your Guild Wars 2 account, they probably have managed to log into your email account as well, which means they could just delete, you know, the authentication emails and you don't even know they're happening. And I just think it just seems like a really kind of dodgy way to do it, and I would rather have an authenticator, even just a mobile one.
I used a mobile authenticator when when I had my World of Warcraft account, and it was
Yeah.
annoying to log in, but I definitely felt better.
You
And
feel safer at least.
Yeah, I think the email authentication system is a pretty damn good middle ground, but a lot of
Yeah.
people are still requesting authenticators, and there was some semblance of it looked like they were going to go that way. There was like an authenticator company that had Guild Wars 2 logo on it a while back at one of the things, and everybody suspected that we were going to have it. It's kind of surprising. Yeah. Rage because it's not here kind of thing that some people are treating it as. I don't know why it was
Yeah.
like goal right there, but yeah. So that's a lot of controversy this past week. Anything else that you guys have experienced in terms of that controversial set of things?
I think what we're going to find is once more and more players get to level 80 and start going out to the ore zones, there's a lot of shady areas in the ore zones. I think Arenanet, if they're listening to this, they need to be aware of it. We're certainly not the only guild out there. There's a ton of guilds out that are all level 80 now that are starting to run these zones. I mean, we've killed Zaitan and all that, but there's areas in
Wait a minute,
ore-
Zaitan dies?
Well,
Damn
let's just
it!
say we've
Spoiler.
completed it.
Breaking
He
my
doesn't, well, he
immersion.
doesn't really. Well, yeah, we're not going to spoil that. But the idea though in ore is that, and I'm not going to throw spoilers out, but like there's public events everywhere, right? And they lead into each other. And the idea is that you eventually take control of these temples or these shrines that give you an easier access into where you have to face this place called Ora, where you face Zaitan and all of that. So these public events, there's some of them that spawn insane numbers of mobs. And of course, I'm sure my guildies are probably, no, Freelancer, don't ruin it for us. But it really is at the point where some of these public events spawn too many mobs, where like there's no reason to go anywhere else in the game but to these particular public events. I think that, that should be addressed as well. Like, because when everybody gets to level 80, what do you do at that point? You farm, right? You want to get your exotic gear, and eventually you're supposed to move out to World v. World or just help out or level up another character, or something like that. But a lot of people are going to farm, and they're going to look towards these events to farm, and there's certain events that just seem, in the world of farming, seem overpowered over other events. So, for the
Farming is
sake
not
of the
balanced.
game, for the sake of the game being fair for everybody, and just not having a specific place to farm, and just getting everybody everywhere to see the entire map and the entire game for what it is, which is beautiful. They need to really even out some of the areas and some of the public events so that way everybody can just end up everywhere, and you go to an area you enjoy because of the scenery or the type of battle it is, rather than because it spawns 40 zombies here or 40 zombies there.
Well, I can tell you for certain there was in the Dredge Haunt Cliffs when I was doing when we were shortly before or after the inevitable terrible fall, there was an event where Dredge had taken over a little fortification, and a dynamic event spawned to where we had to go in and take it back. And the goal of this event is to be the sole occupants of this center ring of the camp and have no enemies in it. Well, it turns out the instant that the last enemy dies, more enemies show up, and we were literally grinding on this dynamic event. Grind is maybe the wrong word. We were literally like farming on this public event for at least a half hour, 40 minutes without completing it. Like, we were all trying to complete it. We're like, man, this is awesome, but I just want to go somewhere else. Like, let's just finish this. And we did everything we could possibly. We used all of our elites. We had like tons and tons of people there trying to kill them fast enough. But we got, I think, like 40%, and then more spawned, and then we could never even get the bar to move again because there was always somebody in the center. We were trying to push them out, but the ranged ones would eventually aggro on somebody further in, and they'd run in again, and we just couldn't do it. It was tons and tons of farming materials, but it was completely broken. So, I mean, I've put in bug reports for things like that, and I hope that things like that get slowly fixed over time, but that's an entirely different team. I'm sure those things will get balanced out as we go. It's only been the first week. Hopefully, by the time I get to 80 and care about that stuff. I'm just going to start an alt now, guys, now that I know level 80 is broken. No, I'm just kidding. But, that's interesting. So, Gigawatt, you mentioned that PvP has been down a lot since the game launched?
Yes, it has. It's been just spotty. The chest is a lie is kind of a thing right now.
It really is.
Really?
Because, we're first place tournament chest. It turns out the first day we played personally I played 15 hours Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like every day. And
Every day.
we were winning just so many tournaments and never ever getting a chest. We got like 3 or 4 chests during that whole time. And like people were getting them for 3rd and 2nd place, so it felt really bad. Like you'd see people walk around in gear and be like, "Oh, well, you must be bad because you have gear."
Wow.
I remember watching guild chat of even our EU guys just completely upset because like they were winning tournaments one after another. They were excited and they're like, "Well, did you get your chest?" "No, I didn't get my chest."
Nope.
"Did you get your chest?" "No." "Well, he got his chest, the 2nd place guy." "Well, we didn't get ours." It was hilarious. I can only imagine how frustrating it is because they work so hard. Like they train, they practice. The least you can give them is some, cosmetic gear to make them look awesome. But no, they can't even have that, So.
Well, it was frustrating because you get 300 glory at the end of that with the chest as part of the reward.
Oh.
And so, like, it was actually less efficient to win tournaments nonstop than to just go pub, like, and play 8v8. And we were like down upwards of like 20 levels from where we should have been because it was just such a huge component of the glory you get from it.
Wow.
So we're actually not getting the rank, so we're getting worse loot. Like, because the higher up in rank you are, the better stuff you get.
Are you being matched up against lower level people as a result? Or is that a separate track?
I'm not really sure how their matchmaking is set up. It didn't seem like it really had any effect.
Because that would be interesting. Like, yeah, man, we're winning 98%. Turns out we're fighting noobs all the time because we can't rank up. Like, stop winning and you'll rank up.
You're fighting noobs because it's the first week.
Yeah, that's true. That's what it is.
Nothing but right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I think that's about it. Any final thoughts from this week?
It's going to be a whole nother world once everybody starts hitting 80, Bridger.
Oh, yeah.
It will.
Whole bunch of new problems.
I'm aiming to hit there probably before the end of this week.
My biggest problem, kind of something I've just thought about from earlier when you were having your Bridger run, is even though it like affects World v World as well, my probably biggest issue is that I can't run dungeons because of the overflow servers. Now I know it's there for our good, but I literally cannot get my entire party into one zone so that we can all enter the dungeon, and it's a big issue. I mean, I've not been able to run the level 60 dungeon yet because we just can't get in it at the moment, and I really hope
the
that
level
gets
60
fixed.
is where?
Sorrow's Embrace.
Sorrow's Embrace.
And that is
in
one of the Norn areas.
Really?
God, I don't know the zone.
So
but
one of the Norn areas, is that full? Are you serious?
I don't even think it's full. I just think and then we'll all get onto the same zone, like overflow, and then I'll run into the dungeon. No one else gets a pop-up. Then I'll come out. Someone else tries to run in. They can't get in at all, and it is horrific trying to get.
We had a problem trying to get into our dungeon last week, right before the show. We were trying to get in, and one person always got in his own instance. Despite being in our party, that was a big problem we were having. But, I mean, do you know how to do the right-click on somebody and join their specific overflow?
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll all get onto the same server so we can see each other outside of the instance, and then one person will run in, and just no one else gets an invite.
So
and
maybe
then they can't run in, and...
You're saying it might only really work better if you're in the actual server, and the overflow server seems to have some problems, maybe.
Yeah, and then, I mean, but even the main server, I think it's just an actual entering a dungeon problem. It might be like the cross between, like, maybe if they have different servers specifically for dungeons, there might be an issue there, but I just can't run dungeons at all at the moment. And I'm a PvE hero. Like, I need dungeons, and I can't run them.
Yeah, people in the chat room are saying this bug happens even at the level 80 dungeons with no overflow, so it just must be a dungeon bug. I'm sure this is just going to go on the list of all other things. Like, I found dynamic events that were completely stalled in place, and zones that would prevent me from getting access to any. There was a zone. Timberline Fall seems broken. You can't get completion in that map because there's a what do they call skill point hidden behind a door that will only open if a dynamic event triggers it. The dynamic event only triggers if a certain waypoint is uncontested. You can kill everything at that waypoint and it will never uncontest. So that was a big problem as well.
So how do we feel about launch in general, like versus other MMOs we've played, and just the whole situation there? But do you feel like this launch was successful, or can we really say that the launch is over yet, that they're still doing things? I mean, obviously, a lot of people are playing the game.
Yes.
A ton of people. It's my own personal opinion. Like, I believe the content is there. They've polished the game when you actually get into it. It's amazing. But they didn't plan well enough, or they didn't do enough testing for the hardware powering what we see. Like it seems to me like they need more servers, they need more bandwidth for the auction house. Because I don't know if you know this, but the auction house sort of works off of what looks like to be an HTML set website. That's how it appears to me, the way it loads.
Yeah, people were actually able to access it as a website during the betas, and they were able to see stuff there. That's kind of
so, like, you know, we were checking IP addresses and stuff. Like, when you are in a zone, you're connected to one IP address just to see how many servers you're connected to at any time. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's an interesting process. You go to your task manager, you can see what your computer is talking to with Guild Wars 2. And it turns out, like, you know, when you're just sitting in Lion's Arch, or you're sitting in a given borderland, you're connected to that borderland server. You're connected to what seems to be like a login server. You're connected when you open the trading post to an actual trading post server. So they have, it seems to me like they have different servers for everything, including World v. World, because the IP address was changing. But they just didn't expect so much load, I guess, would be the way of saying it. That they buckled. So come launch, and even come during Head Start, you remember, everything just buckled. They lost access to trading posts. Heck, even the mail system, which I believe is running its own little server processing that, completely buckled. We lost mail for days.
To be fair, I think part of the mail issue they mentioned was specifically they found an exploit that had to do with mail, and so they took the mail down in order to address that and make sure it wasn't used.
Yep.
So that might have been part of the problem there. But yeah, I agree with you there. To answer your question, the only other launch that I really participated in was Warhammer Online, and I remember that being much more catastrophic than this one, off the top of my head.
And another thing that drives me nuts, sorry, Kai, it just drives me insane, is why are we capped to mailing 1 gold? Or 5 gold, or whatever that little silly farming cap is.
Have you experienced how much you've earned? It's basically like they take a percentage of what you've earned and limit to that. So if you've just been sent loads of gold, you won't actually be able to send loads out because you've not actually earned it. It's something to stop people, gold selling or things like that.
That's my understanding.
You actually have to earn it, yeah.
Is basically if you can only send, your character or your account can only send as much coin as it has earned through dynamic events and rewards and things like that in the game. So if you get money from the auction house, if you get money because other people sent it to you, you cannot send that money to someone else unless you've earned an equivalent amount at least in the game itself by playing in PvE. So that, I think, is specifically designed to counter gold sellers, gold spammers, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it just affects. I mean, because the way our economy works, we pull it together, we manipulate the trading post, and we send mass amounts of money to our raid officers. I can't send. I don't even think I could send like 5 gold to my raid officer. Like, I have to send it in increments of 1, which seems silly.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and we're running into that. Like, other guild members that have this money that have been playing the trading post themselves that want to help out with World v. World, they can only send like 5 gold at a time, and then they have to wait 24 hours or something crazy like that. It's just, I don't know. I understand it, and now that you've explained it, it sounds like it's probably a good idea, because if you're going to stop gold sellers, I mean, that's definitely the easiest way to doing it.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah.
Maybe it's only on new accounts. I mean, I heard a rumor somewhere, somebody said that it's only on new accounts. We'll have to wait and see. But I was thinking to myself, new accounts would make sense. So we'll see if that winds up being the issue. But certainly it's something that's going to... But like you said, overall, I'm having a freaking awesome time. Aside from the trading post, the only really major issue with my experience has been a few broken dynamic events here and there. But the rest of it... amazingly smooth for a massive game.
Oh yeah, as far as the server hardware, that's so trivial, because that's just as easy as optimizing and adding more servers or expanding the bandwidth. If you actually look at the game mechanics, I think all of us are blown away. What do you think? I mean, it's just
it would have been
good.
I was just thinking it would have been way worse if they nailed the server as like we got the best, beefiest everything, and then the game was like Pong. It's like, yep.
I think the game is really good. I love the way the personal story develops. I love the way the hearts work. I love the way the ore works, and the dungeons that I've done are really great. I think for me, as you're talking about the biggest problem that you had, we encountered the weirdest issue. Basically, our guild seemed to be one of the only guilds that earned a really, really high amount of influence in the beginning. I don't know why. But there was a problem that we got a certain influence upgrade in our guild, and that upgrade basically meant that every single person in our guild could not log into the game. And yeah, and
Whoops.
so we upgraded the guild rank 4 something or other, and we're not sure which one it is. And basically, it meant no one could log in, and we all crashed. And literally, it got to the point where Guild Wars 2 were constantly tweeting me, like, can you get in now? Okay, is it all right? And they're like, we're so sorry. And literally, it was just our guild that had this problem. And it was horrible. But I couldn't log in for 24 hours because of this.
You've completed the guild upgrade. Ban all guild members. Are you sure you want to apply the upgrade?
Yeah,
Wow.
It was horrible. It was the most random thing. And I was just like, but... You know, in the end, we helped them fix it, and it was, you know, we were the only guild that happened to, and, you know, they've amended it now, so I'm glad about that. But yeah, it was horrible at the time.
The Banhammer upgrade. I love it. All right, so I think that's it for now. Let's just hold back about the raging and hope that we'll see a lot of this stuff. I mean, a lot of it has already been fixed. We'll see more and more of it getting fixed in the next couple of days. So to me, this is just sort of a waiting game. I mean, Arenanet's doing their thing. They're working overtime to get all of this done. Let's give them the little bit of time that they need in order to make sure that that all happens. But until then, let's enjoy what we can, right?
Right.
That's the attitude to have, because this stuff is incredibly complicated. And if you're sitting there on the internet going, well, they should have done it better because I'm not happy, screw you.
Get to ore and have some fun.
That's right. Do it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? It was just becoming a long show. I forgot to do the I'll throw this in at the end right now. The guild shout out here. Oceanian.
Oh God, we're gonna fast secure that.
This is a new member of the Ascension Alliance, and well, maybe not new. When they sent me the email, they were applying to the Ascension Alliance, but the email was back in July or something. Sorry about that, guys. It's an old list that I've got here. So originally, this was a Tabula Rasa guild that branched out into Star Wars: The Old Republic when it became interesting, and eventually, it's now a multi-gaming Australian/Oceanic community that now includes a Guild Wars 2 division. So you can see right here, they've got a pretty slick-looking website. They have a League of Legends, PlanetSide 2 division, DayZ. It's just a big gaming community that also has a Guild Wars 2 guild. So that's pretty awesome. And obviously, you can see on the right here, they've got a TeamSpeak that's pretty active right now. Got a whole bunch of people in there. So definitely check them out. Ooh, Natural Selection 2. I gotta go play that game. I love that game. All right, no, gotta go World versus World. Back to Guild Wars 2. Like, oh man, but there's so many other Counter-Strike Go. I want to go play that, but I gotta play Guild Wars 2. I got this list of things I want, but I can't have. It's terrible. All right, so OCEAN
until they get the maps.
OCEANIAN.com.au. All right, we're gonna close out the stream here, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in game.
See you guys.
Bye.